Okay, so some assembly required. Now we will assemble our torn-up teacups. So, just a refresher of where we're at. So we've painted our doilies, we have a background, and we've created a chaos layer collage out of matte medium that is dry. And now we will assemble a torn-up teacup. So the first thing you're going to want to do is get your background selected. So one thing you can do right now is kind of play with colors. What color teacup would you want on a green background? Right? So here are some dry matte medium collage like we did in the last step. So underneath, on top of just plain white watercolor paper, I've put rice paper that was embellished in acrylic paint and acrylic ink, and I collaged it onto watercolor paper, and then I went over top with rice paper that I had done in gold pen, and then you see the tissue paper with the polka dots. So same thing here. This is rice paper with my own hand stencils, as well as some beautiful rainbow polka dot tissue paper and some gold dot tissue paper. So especially when you're using upcycled materials, sometimes you worry about copyright and reselling, so if you make your own collage fodder, you're definitely ahead of the game. I really like this one too. And you know, it's funny, like now I don't want to use these for teacups, which is fine. If you run into some pieces that you're suddenly in love with, you know what, tuck those away and hang on to them for a little bit. So I might actually use this as a background because I kind of was trying to be a bit more deliberate with my placement, and this really feels saucery to me, so I might add that one in. But so these are examples of the collaged pieces. This is a piece of art, so this is a spirograph I've done in watercolor. So I'm going to show you how to just make a torn up teacup without having to do the collage layer step. If you just aren't into getting your fingers covered in collage medium, but you've got a lot of old art, this is still a great class idea. And then I also have a background that is very busy because I wanted to show you an option of using a solid colored teacup and having a busy background, as I mentioned in the painting of the base layer portion of this class. So we've got that. We're going to start with a green background. I also prepared a blue one because I really feel like I've got some fun warm tones that would stand out. All right, so we're going to fold the paper in half, tear along the middle, and then you've got 2 sheets of usable paper. Let me just see if I can back us up a bit. There we go. All right, so just make sure it's, you know, bent flat. And let's see. You know what, we're gonna start with this one, because I do feel like some of my friends may not have wanted to get into the collage and matte medium element, so I will show you how to make a torn up teacup without that. All right, now the only thing that will probably freak you out is you want to draw on the art you're going to use. You can cut that line off, but if you draw on the back, you're going to end up having to tear it twice, because when you tear it out, you need to see where you're tearing. And in order to get this beautiful edge of white paper, you need to tear on the side you're using. So for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to use this shape, basic shape of an upside down U with a little bloop for the cup shape. If you had access to a stencil or a Cricut cutter, you could probably have a little bit more fun with that idea. You know what, I want to go into the warm colors, so we're going to be on green. So let's do something like that. And then you're going to cut that, well, no, you're going to tear it out. All right, you want the side that you want the light edge on to be the side you're tearing on. So if this is difficult to do in one shot for you, which is not a problem, tear it wider than you would normally, and then just come back and tear again, closer to the shape that you actually want. Oh, you can see I kind of want to maybe take off this side, so I'll come right back here, tear it along. There we go. So the reason I chose to do this dry collage or using 2-sided tape versus matte medium is that you can use more of your stash pile. You can use old watercolors, you can use old ink, you could use tempera paint ones that you can't sell. Yes, it means you should probably frame it, because then it will be exposed to humidity. It would probably be the largest, and dust. Humidity and dust being the largest factors to impact the condition of this. So if you're going to sell your work, sell it in a cellophane matting kit. That way, should the person get it, they can just hang on to it in the cellophane until they get a chance to frame it. So if you are hoping to frame it, it is a good idea to kind of, where is that cup going to sit? Right, so we can see that this one will be all about the cup, and a little bit less action is going to be happening in the saucer area. So if we didn't want to use a painted saucer, we definitely don't have to. We could go with just straight white. So let's see here. Just simply because there's that much pattern. So the main technical element you want to maintain as you work through this is just balancing your solids, your patterns, and your colors. There we go. Instant teacup. And then you just kind of play with placement. And then you're going to add a shadow under the base of the teacup at the very end, just because you want it to look like it has a spot in reality. Now, you could definitely just draw on a handle if you want. I kind of like to stick with what we've been doing and keep the torn up feel. So I'm just going to use a corner and try and gently round in a little piece for, there we go. And I like that. So the next step you would need, if you're happy with this stage, you can definitely still play mix and match. I'm going to just show you a few pieces, but definitely you take this time to make more than one. Batch work is definitely always recommended. It frees you up and allows you to be a little less persnickety on individual pieces. So I'm going to go grab my two-sided tape. All right, two-sided tape. You can get two-sided tape on Amazon, I'm sure. You can definitely find it when you order a mat kit, when you order these from Mat Shop or something like that, and it comes with the sleeves. It often comes with a roll of tape. I go through it a lot because in my off time, I like to do quite a bit of collage. The best place to get this is your hardware store. Go ahead and go to the weather stripping section. I mean, I imagine even if you lived somewhere as warm as Florida, that you would have an option to buy weather stripping somewhere, but they usually come in a really big roll. So just grab yourself one of those and save yourself the cash. Now you could also just glue this down with a glue stick. I just don't have one, and don't want to get my fingers covered in glue. They're already covered in matte medium, so. But you do what makes you feel most comfortable. Okay, so there we go. Or if you have one of those cool rolling tape things, that works in a pinch too. Peel off your tape. Carefully, and just make sure it doesn't fold on you while you're working with it. There we go. Okay, so we kind of position that a little higher, because the matting is going to obscure quite a bit of that outer edge. There we go. Okay, just double check everything. Okay, so we're going to skew it slightly to the left a bit, just to keep that handle on the teacup in play. Make sure to really get your edges, because that is what will likely lift. But if it's behind glass, humidity and stuff like that should not be such an issue. Now, if you wanted to go like the extra mile, you could take out your Camar varnish on each of these paint layers and spray them individually. So after you painted the doilies, you could seal them. After you painted or collage the torn up teacups, especially if you're using watercolor medium like I've done here. You could go back in and spray with Kamar varnish, just add more light fastness to it. If you know, feel very strongly about the stuff you're making needing to last a really long time. I'm not emphasizing that in this lesson because these are not meant to be that kind of project. They're more of a Kickstarter if you need a card, or you're thinking of somebody and you want to send them a rack, or, you know, something like that.